You know, looking back on the Boston College win, really proud of the offense. We knew we were in for a strong challenge. By far the best defense that we have played all year. Really pleased with how the guys responded to a little bit of adversity there in the first half. You know, we've got off to fast starts in a lot of the other games at home, and then we go out there down 7-0. It's good to see those guys in that situation come back and respond. And then at halftime, even though we'd moved the ball and put some points on the board, you know, just weren't quite connecting like we wanted to in the first half. And we really challenged them in the second half, and the guys responded. Also, looking back, once we went back to grade the tape, one thing I think that was impressive that we can really build on are the long drives that we had. I think the 4 touchdown scoring drives were 75 yards, 80 yards, 98 yards, and 85 yards. So I think we averaged on the 4 scoring drives an 85-yard drive. And against a defense of their caliber where they make you earn it every play, that's something that I think we can really build on, and was really good to see. I can't say enough about the job Coach Caldwell and the offensive line did this week. They had a huge challenge with all the blitzes. It was really what your normal game week, what you have to prepare for from a blitz standpoint. I would say that it was double than any other game that you prepare for. So that was a huge challenge. They did a great job. Also, Deshaun did a really good job of being able to identify it and flipping protections. You know, I think Eric McLean, you know, he said at halftime that some of their guys on defense were getting frustrated because we were flipping the protection every time exactly where they were coming from. And so I think, you know, a lot of that credit goes to Coach Caldwell, Coach Elliott, Coach Streeter, and then those offensive linemen up front, quarterbacks and backs, taking some ownership and preparing for it, because that's something that if you're not prepared, it'll show up in a hurry and it can get ugly. So really pleased with that. You know, they make it very difficult to run the football, obviously only giving up 43 yards in the rushing game. You know, so that was a challenge, but I did feel like we found enough to keep them honest. I think Deshaun made a difference running the ball when those opportunities presented themselves, and really made a difference with his feet. We knew going in it was going to be a big game in the passing game with all the man coverage. They're really going to challenge you and bring a lot of pressure and make you have to connect in the air, and to be able to go out and throw for over 400 yards against the #1 pass defense is something that we definitely can use as confidence as we continue to get ready. You know, looking at kind of the halfway point from an offense perspective, you know, we're excited because we don't feel like we've played our best game yet. We don't feel like we've played up to our full potential yet as a group. But one thing that I think is really positive is, you know, we've won some games by running the football when we needed to run the ball, and then we've won some games where we had to throw the ball and we were able to throw the ball and execute. And I think that's what you're looking for offensively, is you want to be able to do both of them well when you have to do it. So I think we've shown that so far, and we're going to have to do that as the competition continues to increase here during the second half of the season. Pleased with the wide receivers. You know, overall, probably the biggest thing I'm pleased with is the depth and production that we're getting from all 7 guys. And I say this week in and week out, you know, but I had 7 guys that had at least 20 snaps. And I've never had that as long as I've been here at Clemson coaching the wideouts. You know, a couple things what that allows us to do during the game, it allows our guys to stay fresh. You look at Artavis Scott's touchdown there late in the game, you know, that corner that was playing against him, that was his 63rd snap of the game, because that corner played every snap. And for Artavis, that was his 39th snap of the game. And so you're just a little bit more fresh than the guy across from you. And so we always talk to our guys, it's a 10-round fight, you know, and they got the same boxer in there, but we're able to kind of roll our boxers as we go. And so you really see that show up in the second half. So really pleased with that. And also it allows our guys to stay fresh, you know, for the long run that we need to make here at the end of the year. But in order to do that, you've got to be able to have guys that you can count on, that can go out there and execute. And that's the thing I'm most pleased about. It doesn't matter if Hunter Renfro's in there, he's making plays. He comes out, Hopper goes right in making plays. and the same way at the 9 position. You know, Pete made some nice plays, and then you know, Dion came in and really had 2 really big plays, and so really just seeing the overall depth and quality in that group. You know, that's really what we said. You know, whenever we lost Mike for the year, is, you know, we might not have the guy in the room that's going to go and replace him with 1,500 yards this season, but we got more depth than we've ever had. So if we can get a little bit more from everybody in the room, we can make up for those yards and touchdowns, and so far we're doing that. You know, the long pass to Dion there late in the game, really pleased. That was actually a check that Deshaun did on his own. We had an initial call, and the defense they came out with, that call wasn't going to be the best call, so Deshaun checks it, and we had Dion in the slot where he's not normally in the slot, but for the one play that we called, he kind of knew that play. So Deshaun looks to him, gives him a check, and I'm on the sidelines going, okay, we're about to find out if he's ready for the big show or not on 3rd and long. And he executes it and goes all the way down. So those are those growth opportunities that as a coach you look for in games to be able to see if guys can do that. So really pleased with his progress along with the other guys. Miami, big challenge. It doesn't take very long watching the video. The first thing that really stands out is the team speed. I mean, those guys can run very fast, athletic, long. You know, I think it'll be the best secondary by far that we will have played up to this point this year. They remind me a lot of the guys that we have, McKenzie and Jay Ron and those guys. That's the type of ability those guys in the back end have. You know, they're athletic up front. Their 2 ends are guys that you got to get your hands on. You know, very athletic and active, and definitely will create some issues. And it seems like every week we come back in here, we've got another challenge. Just a really good year, I guess, for defenses in the ACC. And so it'll be another challenge, but I think our guys are looking forward to it. We've had a lot of fun at home, but in order to do things we want to be able to do, we've got to go on the road and win on the road. And this will be a big challenge. And we've got a lot of guys from the state of Florida, a lot of skill guys especially, so I know they'll be excited to play this week. But we got to really start over, and that'll start this afternoon when the guys come in for their meeting. So with that, I'll open it up.
The play that you're talking about with Dion, I think Dabo may have alluded to it in his post-game press conference. He said that you had a play called that was a man-buster. What does the quarterback see right there, and what does it say about Deshaun that he recognizes it?
Well, to be completely honest, when we lined up, there was a lot of discussion because it was 3rd and long, and I think maybe we were up 17, and Deshaun had just taken a shot to play before, and so there was discussion, do we just run the draw, or, you know, and Deshaun actually came over and said he wanted to run this play, the empty play, where we were going to have a deep pass concept, and we had an answer if it was too high, but Deshaun, you know, he looked over to me on the sideline and gave me the signal for the check, and that check we don't typically do out of empty. It's more of a 2x2 check. And so I really didn't respond, and then he did the check to me one more time, and I said, okay, let's do it. And he got Dion's attention, he did it, and I just watched it happen. So, you know, we haven't done that in practice before, but that just shows Deshaun's 2nd year in the offense, understanding, and then also Dion. I think that's the first time Dion's ever run a 7-cut, which he ran right there because he's in the boundary. He's not typically a slot receiver. And so whenever he gave Dion the signal, that was a big moment for me that, okay, we're going to find out if this guy's ready or not. And not only did he run the route, he did a great job, got his depth, executed it very well, and just wish he could have got in down there. Got tight there at the goal line, but I know our guys will give him a hard time. But that was probably that, and then Artavis's touchdown, you know, was a really big deal because Artavis was not the primary target. He actually was the 4th option in a regular read for that play. But you know, we told our guys all week long that if you get press coverage, it doesn't matter if you're the first read or the last read, you better run to win. And Tay ran to win, and you know, Deshaun felt very comfortable that Tay was going to go win on that matchup, so he forgot all of his regular rules and said, I'm going to take the matchup, which he's allowed to do. And so I thought there were some really good teaching moments in there where you can see Deshaun making some good decisions and our guys being on the same page. so real pleased with that.
Going back to Dion rather, have you noticed a significant change from a mental standpoint in practice? Does it seem like the light's coming on for him?
Yeah, I think he's getting better each week, and and he's a little bit of a gamer. He's one of those guys, and I've coached a few of those guys before here that maybe play better than the games than they do in practice. And but he's been getting better each week. I think for him, he had a slant also in the game where he went one step instead of 3 steps, and so the timing's off a little bit. He jumped off sides one time, probably had another one on one of his catches that he might have been a little quick. It was close, and so just those little things for a freshman, are the things that he's got to continue to work on. But I really feel, and Ray really, just the way the game went and the times he was in there, that he didn't get the opportunities maybe that we would like for him to get. But I think both of those guys are getting better as the season goes, and that's really kind of, I think we've got 4 freshman wideouts, and only one of them played wideout in high school. Hunter Renfro played quarterback, Ray played running back, and Dion played quarterback. Trevion's the only one that played wideout. So, we knew that there was going to be kind of some development, and the good news for them is it was not a year where they had to go out and be the guy day one, and we had to go through some kind of growing pains. They've been able to be able to play and get a lot of key experience, but be able to kind of roll in there and not have to be the primary guy quite yet. But I think both of them are progressing very well, and I think we'll continue to make big plays and be a big part of it here as we go to the second half.
You've been wanting to be able to stretch the field vertically for several weeks now, and the opportunities weren't always there for you. 2 questions. One, what made you feel that this was a game that you could absolutely do it and continue to do it throughout the game? And 2, when you backed off a little bit and began to take what they were giving you to kind of soften them and make them aware of it, was that something you did through a conversation, or did it come on the fly, or how did that evolve?
Well, as difficult of a game as it was for the guys in the box, those offensive line, tight end, running backs, and quarterbacks, very complicated scheme, very complicated game plan for them to get all that figured out. As complicated as that was, it was very simple and easy for our guys on the outside, because they basically played 2 coverages. They were going to play man, which they had been in 77% of the time in the previous games, or it was going to be cover 2, which was 23% of the time. So we knew it was going to be one or the other. There wasn't a lot of disguising, and their deal is, hey, we're going to get in your face and challenge you. And in order to do that, to be able to hit those deep balls, you got to have execution up front. They're counting on getting there and rushing the quarterback, which they've done a lot. And then also execution on the throw, and then execution on the release. A lot of things have to happen to be able to hit those balls. But I think the confidence we had in that is because that's what we see against our defense every day, year-round. They play press. We joke that we have to wait till the season before we can see a little bit of zone coverage, because in practice that's all we get is man coverage, and we're going to get some talented guys. And so we were excited about the challenge, but also going into that game, when you're playing a lot of man coverage, we had to have multiple answers for man. You didn't want to base your whole game plan of, we're just going to take shots. If we hit them, great, we win. If we don't, then I guess we'll just lose. So we had multiple layers of ideas for our man. So obviously the shots were a big piece. The next were the intermediate, the slants, and having some of those routes. And then also we wanted to get the ball out to the back and have the receivers blocking some crack blocks and get the ball out there. And so we had kind of 3 different answers for the man coverage, and we had a couple answers for the zone. So we knew, and we practiced it all week long. Our scout team gave us a great look, and it was exactly what we expected. We were just off just a little bit in the first half, and I think we encouraged them a little bit to stay in the man coverage in the second half, because we didn't quite connect like we wanted to in the first half. But we knew that we eventually would connect on those, and so we just had to keep faith in it, stay consistent, and we're able to hit it. But I do think having a variety of ways to beat man coverage was a key. And we also had the little crossing route to Leggett in there, and then getting Leggett involved down the goal line. Just a lot of different ideas for that man coverage. That we'll be able to carry with us as we go. Most people are going to play, that we play, are going to play mostly zone, then get to 3rd down and then they're bringing the pressure and going man coverage. Whereas with Boston College, it was like every down was third down. And so I think we'll be able to carry over a lot of the stuff we were doing here through the rest of the year, especially on third down.
Jeff, you guys have built up a little comfort level here at home this first half of the season. How prepared do you think they are for these next couple of weeks where they're going to be out of that comfort zone?
Yeah, obviously Louisville, we got a little taste of it, and definitely didn't play our best game. But I don't think it was a situation where we came home and said, "Man, our guys are scared to death to play on the road." But that's what Coach Sweeney's message to the team will be today. Hey, to accomplish the things that we want to accomplish out in front of us, we got to play well on the road. That's great. We just set a record for the most wins at home ever, consecutive wins at home with 14. But now we've got to go win on the road. And so I think that'll be kind of that next challenge. You're always looking, especially with a team that's winning and playing well, you're always, as a coach, looking for something to kind of challenge them. So I think that'll be the big challenge this week is, can we go out and execute on the road against a good football team? And because we're going to have, the very next week at NC State, you're going to have several more of those as we go. But that'll be a big challenge. But am I concerned about it? Not really, because I think Coach Sweeney and our coaches have done a really good job of kind of building into our guys that it doesn't matter where we play or who we're playing. It's all about us, and it's about our execution. The external factors are not going to have any control, and really kind of building that mentality. I think our guys have bought into that, and so we'll continue to stress that this week.
Has there been a rush to judgment? Listening to some of the national guys on TV and the first 3 or 4 games, it seemed to me it was a rush to judgment to determine whether or not the transition coordinator had been fully successful. Do you feel you guys have answered all of that? Chad's now at SMU, it's now your offense, and you guys are more than capable of doing the job.
To be completely honest, I don't think we've thought about it at all. I mean, just being 100% honest, we really haven't thought about it because, I think to our team and to our offense, I think having the bowl game last year, it didn't really feel like we were just getting started this year, that this was the first time that we've done it. I think having that opportunity with a month with the offense, with the team, and then going out and having success in the bowl game, I think it made a smooth transition into the season. And then because of what we're doing offensively is very similar schematically to what we've done in the past. I think Tony and I have been very out in front that, hey, this is Clemson's offense. This isn't about me. This isn't about Tony. This isn't about one person that's calling all the show, calling the show and kind of has the puppets on the string. This is really about our guys and their execution. And that's really where our focus has been. So I don't think that maybe on the outside that's a good storyline and something I think that would be natural for people to continue to look at. But I think within our walls, our players and our staff feel very comfortable and confident with what we're doing.
Jeff, do you think that even though y'all didn't have a great deal of success with the run, that continuing to probe around with it sort of enabled some of the success that y'all had the past year?
Yes, and we knew that. I kind of described it to my wideouts whenever I was really trying to stress to them the importance that they were going to have on this game of beating man coverage was going to be a big part of winning the game. And I pointed to the wall and I said, see that wall right there? That's what the running backs are going to be running into all night. They've got 4 D linemen and they got 2 linebackers, and all they do is run right through the gaps, and they got a wall. So that's what they're running through all night. So we've got to make our plays stick, and we've got to make our plays count, or it's going to be a long night. But with that being said, we did have to run, we felt like we had to run the ball enough to keep them honest, and where they couldn't just get in sets just to take away the pass. And then also, I think up front, you don't want to let that defensive front, those linebackers, be able to get where they can just pin their ears back and have a pass rush. It's a little bit different whenever they have to play the run as well. So we had to keep them off balance, and I felt like we did that. But it was just a little different look than maybe it looked the past couple weeks. Running the ball, we were able to really get some big holes in there, but a lot of that was scheme and what they were doing. They did a good job, and And I think Coach Elliott would tell you there was more there. We felt like there was a little bit more there than I think Wayne didn't have his best game. A few of the backs, there were some holes that were there, but it was a different different look than maybe what we've seen in the past. And so some of the holes were in different spots, and you know, I think we've got a lot we can definitely still improve in that area. But you know, we know we've got to be able to run the ball and really want to be balanced if the defense will allow that scheme.
Talked about Deshaun making checks to find open receivers. Is that an area in which you've seen a lot of growth this year?
Yeah, you know, I think last year, like I've said before, he was really learning what he's doing and what's going on. I think this year he understands the offense completely, and you know, we give him a lot of freedom. Obviously, we're playing fast and doing a lot of things, so we're not a true check team that gets up there every play and is trying to check and get us out of one play and into another play. But if he sees things from time to time, he has freedom to make those checks. And so we have a lot of confidence, but a lot of that comes from the meeting room, from Brandon Streeter and the quarterbacks in the meeting room pointing things out. You know, Deshaun's a great note taker, and he's always going back through his notes, and he takes that very serious. So, you know, it's like having a coach on the field, being able to make those checks. Sometimes you see a lot of school, and we'll do it too, but offenses, they make the check from the sideline. So we'll see something in the box. All right, we want to check. We'll go check. We'll call the play. Well, now what defenses are doing, when you check, they check. So we're checking the play from the sideline because we've seen they're in man coverage. But when they see us check, now they're going from man coverage to cover two, and so you kind of defeated the purpose. So it's put even more importance on your quarterback being able to check the play on his own without everybody looking to the sideline. And I think that's what allowed us to have success on that one of those last big throws to Dion.
Jeff, you know, we're halfway through the season. I mean, you guys know where you are and what's out there and ahead nationally. Any concerns about, hey, 34 points isn't enough, it's an eye test kind of thing, because, you know, you guys win, you have a nice win at home, and you drop a spot in the polls?
You know, I really don't think so. The first thing I told the offense, I always get an opportunity. Tony and I do a good job of kind of splitting our opportunities, who talks to the offense when. And so Tony's up in the box before the game, so I kind of get that 5 minutes before Coach Sweeney calls the whole team up. And the first thing I told him Saturday is our #1 goal tonight is to get our 6th win. That's our #1 goal. It's probably not going to look pretty because of what they're doing on defense. We're going to have some adversity that we're going to have to overcome, but that's our #1 goal. Forget all the rest of it. You know, it's great, all the stuff we talked about after the game with 3 consecutive games, 200 yards rushing and this and that. Those are fun things to look at after the game, but, you know, really our goal is to win the game. And you know, and another thing, we've really challenged our offensive guys, because we've been very fortunate on offense at Clemson to have a lot of talented players come through here, and all the records that we've had individuals set from a passing standpoint, receiving, all those type of things. You know, so we've really challenged those guys that, hey, we've broken all the records, we've done all that, but what we haven't done is won all the games to be able to get to the big one and win an ACC championship and do those type of things. And so let's just worry about winning the game, whatever it takes. And, you know, I commended our guys last week that I feel like we've got a very unselfish group in that offensive room. We've got the most depth we've ever had at the wide receiver position. We've got the most guys playing at running back that we've had. Tight ends, I think we played 6 or 7 tight ends. You know, we're rolling a lot of guys. And so when you got a lot of guys that have the opportunity to play, it's just natural for guys to want to become selfish and be about me and about my stats. You know, I don't read much stuff in the media, but sometimes I like to kind of read what my players are saying on a Monday to kind of see where their mind is. And I love reading, you know, Artavis Scott, I think he got asked last week, hey, you haven't quite been targeted as many times as in the past. Are you worried about your numbers and this after last year? You know, being a freshman All-American, you know, and I think he came out and said, hey, I'm just trying to do whatever I can do to help us win. And he goes out the very next week, you know, and has his best game of the year. And so, you know, I really think our guys have bought into that. I think Sean's bought into that. You know, he hasn't been worried the first half of the year about what his numbers look like. He knew that it was coming. But, you know, I give Coach Sweeney ultimately the credit for that, because he's done a good job from a team standpoint, making it, hey, it's a one-game season. Let's go win. We don't have time to worry about anything else. Let's go win. And what we know about our schedule and the league we play in and the teams that we'll play, if we take care of business on our schedule, I don't think it matters if we got 44 points or 34 points, as long as we're winning and do what we need to do. And so that's our goal, and we'll stay committed to it.
Beyond trying to win each game each week, beyond trying to go 13-0 after the ACC title game, is there a concern though that because the ACC is not regarded as on par with the other Power Fives, and what we saw last year at the playoff and game control, that's not a concern?
To be honest, it's not. You know, it's not anything that we talk about in our room, and we really, you know, Coach Sweeney, again, he talks to the guys about the beginning of the years, the polls don't matter. Now that we're ranked higher, polls don't matter, and I think, you know, as you play the entire season, some of those teams that are in front of us have to play each other, so there's going to be opportunities. You know, from a big picture standpoint, I don't really see a situation where if we take care of our business, you know, in our league and all that with the teams that we're going to have to play and beat to be able to get there, you know, there's not a big concern on our part that we would get left out or something that we need to go and try to have these, you know, splashy wins or how many points we need to score or whatever. I mean, we're trying to win, we're trying to score, and we're trying to win every game, whatever it takes, and then I think we'll be fine at the end of the day.
But taking care of business, that means undefeated?
Yeah, I mean, that's our goal, is to be undefeated. And obviously, if you lose a game, then you do put yourself, you know, out there and other people. But, you know, if we continue to take each game one at a time, continue to win, then, you know, I feel like we control the cards for our destiny, and that's really what we're focused on now.
Coach, you alluded to the Florida guys, particularly Deion, Ray, and do you ever feel that can be a detriment if they get too excited, try to do too much, and if so, how do you temper that optimism so it doesn't have an adverse effect?
Yeah, I think they got the same thing on defense with J-Ron and McKenzie, and you know, the number one thing is you don't want to play the game during the week. They're going to be fired up. They're going to go out there and go full speed, and you just can't play the game during the week. And then also pre-game, you know, our guys will get a little too excited. I think DJ Shea's been a good addition to our pre-game, but our guys will get a little excited during pregame. I have to kind of remind them that, you know, we are going to play 4 quarters today, and you're going to need a little bit of that energy. So let's cut it down to 2 dance moves instead of 4 if we can get there. So we made progress a little bit, but yeah, I mean, that's the big thing. It's just, and also, you know, going on the road and you got a quick turnaround, you know, all those type of things. There'll be a little bit of coaching that goes in this week, especially those young guys. And, you know, our goal is for them to be at their peak come 12 o'clock Saturday. And there's a lot of things mentally and then also physically with their bodies and all those type of things to be sure we're there. Because we're going to need to be. These guys can run. I mean, this ain't going to be a situation where we can just run by the guys lined up in front of us like maybe it's happened a little bit earlier in the year. These guys are very athletic. We knew about them during the recruiting process. They can run, and it's going to be more about our fundamentals, our technique, and all that, and getting open more than just team speed.